Welcome to Sofcock Appreciation Week 2024. I invite you to get comfortable as you join us for what I like to call cockversations, discussions, or grown folk putting their heads together and sharing ideas in authentic and real ways. Now be aware we don't hold back in our language, and what follows is not for overly sensitive or easily kerfuffled ears. And before we dive in, remember, what is shared here is not meant to be, nor is it a replacement for medical advice. Whenever you notice changes in your body or that of a loved one, especially in how the penis is functioning, please seek out medical consultation. What the penis is saying could literally save a life. Thank you for supporting us. If you take away something useful from this, please let us know. Write a review, spread the word, and keep coming back for more. Are you ready? Let's do it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2024 Softcock Appreciation Week. We are coming now into our closing day, and I am so excited that the way that we are bringing the whole week to a beautiful end is with my new friend, Dr. Amy. We have really special gifts that Amy has already given to us and is bestowing upon us that you're going to have to be able to learn from, take away, really get more enriched by the wisdom of what she has to offer. And I'm speaking around what it is so that as we get into the conversation, you'll know a little bit more. And as a reminder, Softcock Appreciation Week is really a place about that it's totally okay for you to show up for pleasure, for intimacy, for connection, exactly how you are. That there's no need for you to show up hard, erect, ready to go. That's not what we need. And at the same time, we're really honoring that sometimes when the penis, when the cock, when the whatever you like to call your member doesn't show up, that can be a sign or a signal that it's time to listen to your body, pay attention to your body, take stock of, is there something else going on that this beautiful part of me is trying to wake me up to and let me know, time to pay attention. So we balance both things here at Softcock Appreciation Week. Wonderful. So I met Dr. Amy recently. Amy was wonderful enough to reach out to us and say, hey, I'm really excited about what you're doing. And I have some tricks, I have some tools, I have some wisdom that I would like to share. And it turns out we're both Oregonians.
Right.
And have some other similarities. You did the sexological bodywork training. You're connected. You are. I just want everyone to know, part of my excitement about having Dr. Amy come at the end here is that one of the things that I delight in most in my personal journey is being able to sit at the feet, of those who are my elders and my predecessors in this work. That there's a lineage around sexology, sexological bodywork, working with these other ways of approaching the mind, body, spirit connection in sexuality, in intimacy. And it's so important that we honor and recognize that lineage. And I'm really grateful to have you here with us, Dr. Amy. So will you tell us a little bit about your journey, who you are, how you came to it, and where you're at now?
Oh, yeah. And thank you. It's so fun to meet you. And I am appreciating your voice very much as I listen to it. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes, because we're not quite letting the cat out of the bag. So, yeah, I'm a sexologist as well as a ASEX certified sexuality counselor, a clinical hypnotist, and a certified hypnosis instructor, and had lots of different kinds of training for all sorts of things in all of that big smush of, I don't know what you call it, but I've definitely felt when I heard about Sofcock Week, I definitely felt excited. This is so necessary for so many people. We need to decrease the suffering and minimize the distress that people feel around this whole issue and give them a chance to enjoy themselves for a change without worry. So that's where I'm coming from. Uh, I will say that my background here with all the different letters that go with it, that's kind of how I spell midlife crisis. So this is my midlife career change right
Yep.
there in alphabetical soup. And I trained at the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality in San Francisco, which is now no longer in existence, but it was around for decades. A lot of people went through those doors, either as students, staff, guest lecturers. Amazing place. It's got its own kind of weird story, which I won't go into, but it was probably a unique place in all the world. And people did come from many different countries to train there and approach human sexual behavior in a way that most other places were not. And a large part of that was in not pathologizing anything that was adult and consensual. So kind of using that as a baseline. So here I am many years later. I got the EdD in 2008, got the, oh no, sorry, the DHS in 2008, the EdD in 2011, and then the hypnosis stuff happened in 2009 and also 2011 or so
Oh,
for the
so
instructor.
so we were close because I was at the Institute in 2012.
Oh,
That's when I was there.
I'm so sorry I missed you.
I know, we almost crossed paths.
We did.
Yeah,
Right.
that's wonderful.
Okay.
That's wonderful. So we dropped a little hint there.
Mhm.
So what we're talking about is really pulling from this relationship that you have both in the world of sexuality and intimacy, and then really specializing in that in your work in hypnosis, right?
Right. Yeah. I created for my EdD project a course on teaching hypnosis for sexual problems, which I taught at the
Mm.
Institute for about 3 years as a, um, what do they call it? I'm losing the word, not the core class, but as a
Oh, like
elective,
as an elective.
as an elective. And then
Mhm.
I went on to found the Intimate Hypnosis Training Center. And so about once a year, I teach students who are either in the sexuality world or in the hypnosis world or somewhere, and I take them through this 15-week training that's pretty extensive, and I'm quite proud of it. And when I see clients, hypnosis is generally part of what happens, unless they
Mm.
are definitely not interested in that. But I haven't really had anybody say that to me except for
Yeah.
maybe one time.
So let me ask you this. When I think for a lot of people, just hearing the word hypnosis brings up a lot of ideas, right?
Mhm.
Something that they've seen, magicians do in the movies, or, there's a lot of misconception about what hypnosis is, right? And what it
Definitely.
isn't. So for the people where this is a whole new concept, let's just start right away for someone who, isn't familiar with this, doesn't really understand it as a tool, maybe has a like, what?
Mhm.
Um, you know, how do you describe it? And before you say that, I want to say I am a big fan of hypnotherapy. I first started receiving guidance in it and getting it when I had really severe PTSD.
Okay.
And like it really changed my life. And then I have used it over the years, like, for spot checks.
Mhm.
But I will say I've never done it for anything sexual.
Yeah.
So I'm super curious because, I've had the lived experience of what has changed in me as a
Mhm.
result. And now I'm like, ooh, but there's more. there's more
There
that's
is.
possible. There's more that's possible, especially like in these menopausal years. So, and andropausal years, right? That I'm really
Mhm.
curious about our topic today, which is really how to use hypnosis and use this tool, both on ourselves for those of us who have a penis and in our partnered work for those of us who are supporting people who have one, because we're gonna run up against somebody at some point or rub up against somebody at some point where they're gonna be soft,
Yeah.
and I'm excited for the toolbox. So let's tell us all how you help people not think hypnosis is some I'm gonna squawk like a chicken.
Oh my God. I So what I'm going to give you and the people attending the conference is kind of my basic hypnosis pre-talk. So pretend that you're a client coming to see me and you're curious, you're not quite sure about the hypnosis part. You know that you want counseling and some adult sex ed, perhaps. You've got some kind of issue you want to deal with that's sexuality related. And so when I talk about hypnosis, I basically begin with the fact that it represents a natural shift in the speed and frequency of our brain waves, that we go in and out of different brainwave shifts all the time, whether it's from just us talking as we are to maybe sinking into a quieter, maybe more meditative or uh, daydreamy kind of state, maybe going deeper still into like a deep contemplation, and eventually what we would call a trance, though some people argue with the word trance, but I think it's useful, uh, all the way into sleep. So knowing that that's first something that our bodies just do naturally, our body minds do naturally, helps to normalize it. And then I explain that there's quite a lot of peer-reviewed studies that show the efficacy of hypnosis for a really wide range of conditions. So there's science behind it, or, it's studies show, I could use that
Mhm.
phrase a million
Uh,
times in describing, something that is good for all manner of sexual situations or problems that people might be having. And then I think the other part of it is to explain that it's not a magic wand. The hypnotist doesn't just swing the magic watch or, the magic wand, and all of a sudden everything's better. It's a learned skill and it takes practice. So, in order to get the most out of a hypnosis session, it helps if you're uh, learning and then practicing self hypnosis, or if you're listening to a recording, say, if I provide a recording of some kind, there has to be something that creates a new neural pathway.
mhm.
And we're trying to substitute the positive suggestions for negative self talk around a problem. That's maybe one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest things that makes it a useful thing. And what else do I want to say about that? Oh, a wonderful man who unofficially served as my mentor, but through his books, not that I ever was lucky enough to meet him or correspond, but Dr. Daniel Leroye, who is deceased a couple of years ago, called it a goal-directed daydream. And we become very inwardly focused, and we start to kind of hook up with our subconscious in a way that maybe we aren't normally used to doing. And the subconscious runs the body. So it's possible to deal with somatic issues, because that's most of what we've got, through hypnosis in many, many cases. So
Yeah.
when I was saying that I appreciated your voice, I was sitting there going, oh my God, what a great hypnosis voice Erica has. So think about it. Okay.
Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah.
part of I thank you. I appreciate that. And I really began a lot of my journey working with young children, and
Mm.
I find that there's a lot of similarity in the work that I do with my clients around, I like to say, if you know how to soothe a fussy baby, you know how
Mhm.
to soothe a fussy penis, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is
Yeah.
the same, right? There's like the soothing voice. It's all about sort of getting
Mhm.
to that place of, when I think about trance, helping people get into a state of trance, what I think about in my work is um, really, how can I ooze that quality of oxytocin, that trust, love, bond hormone,
Mhm.
so that what I'm seeing in you, what I'm feeling about you, is this, is a real, it's love, but it's
Yeah.
love in this way that so many of us don't get. And so it keeps us anxious. It keeps our cortisol running. It keeps our
Mhm.
adrenaline running. We're on such a high frequency of, threat alert.
Yes.
And when we can create opportunities, when we can give that to somebody else, which I think is something that has the potential to be part of our sexual connection as well.
Mhm.
But when we can create that opportunity of like, hey, let's just, let's relax, like, because I think we're having, I think we're really in a, not only are we in an erectile epidemic, but what I see is I see that we're in an epidemic that people just do not know how to relax,
Yes.
and so we say, I mean, that's one of the things about ED, right? Is that we say, okay, well, if it's not medical, right? If it's not this
Mhm.
complicated, if it's not a medical complication and it's not just and it's not clearly a relational, then it just goes into this big lump called stress.
Yeah.
And then the what to do about stress becomes, that's not really clear. So, what you're bringing is something a little bit more concrete
Mhm.
about how to take this idea of stress apart a little bit further so that we can start to feel in the body how to relax. And I want to tag into what you just said about, because you brought in something that's in your slideshow about the self-suggestion.
Mhm.
And with my clients, I call them cockformations.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
With
Great.
the firm, however firm you
Mhm.
can get, right? But that I
Mhm.
have seen, I think especially I really find this with the men that I work with, that the negative self-talk, right, really gets loud.
Yes.
It gets really, really loud. And I don't want it to be too gendered, but and because, everybody has negative self talk, but I
Mhm.
feel like there's a lot more resources. Like when I talk with men about gratitude practice, something most of them have never heard it. Most of them have never heard about positive affirmations. The women's movement got us a little bit further ahead around consciousness raising
Mhm.
than where our beloved men have been led. So, that piece of how to change the negative into the positive. Can you say some more about that for us?
Oh, I'd love to, and I'm loving how you're putting things, and
Thank you.
so much agree with you. And I think that with hypnosis, and I'll go back to this again, and it's clearly part of your work, is this use of the voice, the breath, because we model a breathing as we're speaking, and having the foundational attitude of what Carl Rogers called unconditional positive regard.
Mm.
So if we regard our clients or the person in front of us, our lovers, with that unconditional positive regard, we're already in a state where we can be okay. If we have a partner who's got a penis, who's just not hard, and we can, it's not just, oh, honey, it's okay. It's just the unconditional love of that person.
Yeah.
And the other part of that is it's not enough to just de stress, but then we have to know how to enjoy ourselves in the relaxed state, right?
Right.
And sometimes people don't know how to do that. So
Hmm.
I think we, step by step, we build on these things. There's a, there's just something about just being able to kick back and relax and watch the birds go by. In a way, we kind of need that attitude too when it comes to sex, at
Yeah.
least during the arousal part, And I think it comes down to our nervous system. And you and I've talked about this, the down regulation. moving from the sympathetic worry, tense, fight, flight, or freeze mode back into the parasympathetic, which is just that easy. Some people call it rest and digest, but we could call it rest and aroused or
Yeah.
something else that's a little sexier.
Right. I like
And
that. Rest and aroused.
yeah, and if you don't, if you're not in the parasympathetic nervous system state, you're not getting the blood flow to the genitals, no matter what kind of body you have.
Right. Right. Because
And
if you're an antelope who's being, hunted by a lion, your penis isn't going to be long and chill. Right.
right, and
Right.
you're not going to be an estrus and ready to mate. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
so it comes down to this basic body
Mm.
stuff, as well as the attitude that the person has, their negative self-talk or their attitude towards sexuality and how they show up sexually with their partners. A lot of times the hypnosis is only part of how to help some shifting in that direction, so the person can feel empowered in several different ways.
So when you're teaching people how to do self-hypnosis,
Mhm.
like I'm thinking of two situations. So I'm going to just throw out these situations
Sure.
and see what you say. So first I'm thinking, because it's something that as you were talking, it made me think about this. So let's say, I'm a person, I, I am a
You're
person.
a person.
So I think we can say that.
Yeah.
At least today
Okay.
I'm not in my cephalopod alien form. Um, so here I am. I'm with my lover, and they're not responding in a way that is erection.
Mm.
And even though I can do what just said, which is, see them in that loving, positive regard and really have that, even with all of my skills, and and I'm saying this even for myself, that there can still be that voice that says they're not attracted to me.
I know. It's terrible.
Right? It must be me,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
they don't want me. They don't. So when in that moment, right? Because this now we're like in the moment. It's not, I mean, there's what I can practice ahead of time, but still, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you, like in the moment, even for
Mhm.
me as an expert, I can still have that little voice that
Yeah.
says, oh, it must be me and they
Mhm.
don't want me. So what is the tool in your toolbox that can be applied in the moment like that?
Oh, I think it's hard because when you're in distress, it's very hard to remember your tools.
Mm, mhm.
And so we can say, well, mindfulness, be aware of your negative self-talk, because the partners of people with penises who are dealing with this particular issue of I'm not hard and I need to be hard and all that worry. We have our own negative self-talk,
Mm.
as you've just pointed out beautifully, and that negative self-talk also becomes part of the worry that they have. But getting back to what we do in the moment, I think the only thing you can do is try to get yourself through breathing, being aware of just happened, what you've just told yourself, and try to get yourself into the parasympathetic nervous state if you can, so that you stay responsive, not reactive. Because that thought, and I've gone through this too, I think we all have, who've been socialized in this country, particularly socially sexualized. We have that insecurity, and it can be grounded in all kinds of things. But I think we just need to come back into our own self, our own body,
Yeah,
and just kind of reset. It's hard to do. It really is hard to do.
it is hard to do.
Yeah.
So if I was preparing myself, knowing that that's something, right, that I might
Mm.
hit, right,
Hmm.
because again, it just happens, then the self talk that I might be preparing just then not to, to have in my tool bag would be some kind of statement, right? Something, is
Mhm.
that sort of something where I would have like, because that's something I talk about with my clients too, is it's really helpful knowing what your negative self-talk is. It's really helpful to already have the answers to that. So
Mhm.
when my brain says, oh, he's not attracted to you, must be, you're not wearing makeup tonight, he's not attracted to you, or whatever it is,
Mhm. Mhm.
that I'm already have in my arsenal, like, fuck you, that's not true, he loves you very much, right? Or like,
Mhm.
or his erection is not about you,
Yeah.
or something. So is that sort of when you are in your presentation, when you're talking about having those what is the terminology that you use?
Oh, self-affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
positive self-talk,
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much use that interchangeably. I think it's definitely helpful to, if you know the buttons that can get pushed in those situations. Like for me, my buttons can be, I'm old and I have no hair because I just completed my cancer treatment. Like, this is huge,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Oh God,
Right.
I could fall into that so easily. And I'm not saying I never do, but I know my areas where I have to work at it. And we all have those.
Mm-hmm.
We all have those, sadly. So one of the things I like to tell people when it comes to self-affirmations or self-suggestions, there was a very good study done on self-talk. It got written up in Psychology Today as part of an article in 2015. And what they found was if you do your affirmation in the third person using your first and
Oh.
last name, it works better. And I think it works better because we're not immediately going, that's not true.
Mm.
So if you think about it, I'll use a money thing. If you
Right.
think I am abundant with my resources, but you've got nothing in your bank account, you can immediately go,
Right.
that's nonsense. I'm just fooling myself. This is ridiculous. But if you go, Amy Marsh is abundant
Mm.
in their resources, I was like, oh, that Amy. But your subconscious is still getting it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So we can do that with sex or sexual topics.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, I am attractive no matter how much hair I have,
Mm-hmm.
can get turned into Amy Marsh is attractive no matter how much hair he has.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can accept that.
Interesting.
So you're kind
Interesting.
of
Yeah.
tricking the mind.
Right.
And when I do hypnosis, I'll mix I statements for the client with these first, third person, first and last name statements. But I really recommend that they use that because I think it makes a good thing even more uh, workable, you know.
I love that. And I love, because also something else that you just said, which is, that really what we're trying to do is find all these workarounds.
Mm-hmm.
The neurology is so phenomenal, right? All
Right.
of the circuitry. And I think
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of people get stuck, what I see is a lot of people get stuck. And I see this especially for men. I think women, I believe, this is my theory, that because of our menstruation coming on young in our life, we just have a sense earlier in our journey that, you know, we're malleable, right? Like,
Interesting.
there's sort of like I know that like my weight changes, over the years, over a month. I mean, not so much
Mm-hmm.
anymore over a month, but you know, and that there's more of this like sense of malleability, sense of cycle. And I find that, a lot of the men that I work with they're very rigid. They're very
Mm-hmm.
stuck in like, this is who I am. This is how I am. And then, the challenge is that when there's erectile changes, then, you're like, ooh, I'm rigid in my thoughts, but I'm not rigid in my penis, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, and so how do we then it really becomes, ooh, this is tricky, because what we actually need to do in order to potentially bring some rigidity back into your penis is to really open up the neural pathway to what are these thought patterns and these habit patterns, whether they're habits
Yes.
of masturbation or habits of thought,
Hmm.
that are really what is keeping people kind of tight and closed in.
And I think you bring up a really interesting point with younger younger people in female bodies or assigned female bodies who have menstruation. Look at the younger people in assigned male bodies and their experience generally of their sexuality in those first years is that erections happen all the time, even when they don't want them to.
Right.
And maybe there is this kind of frozen self-image, because a lot of male clients will talk about, when I was younger, this wasn't a problem, you
Exactly.
know? And so I think you're right. There needs to be some shifting into more fluidity,
Hmm.
definitely. And how do we help them do that? That's very individual for the different people that we work with.
Well, and I think that goes back to why hypnosis is such a great tool, because what I see, so this is my theory. I'll share with you my theory,
Sure.
since you just talked about this. This is my theory about young boys. So my theory about young boys is that, the penis is a sensory organ,
Hmm.
right? And what I've seen, being a mother and a grandmother, and I worked in preschools and kindergarten, and I've really seen boys develop.
Hmm.
And there's a really natural time in life where they are all one whole human organ, right?
Yeah.
And then, depending on the family, but definitely by school age, there's a lot of, it is not okay for this organ that is designed to respond to sensory stimulus to
Hmm.
show up, right? So we're asking 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds to have control over something that is just like, for us, not having a penis, it's like, if I see a butterfly and that makes me happy from the inside out, that I don't have a tell, I don't have a sensory antenna,
Yes. Mm.
right? If my
Hmm.
teacher or my mother or my auntie or whoever has a nice smell, I don't have something that is, showing the world that my body likes that. And so from a
Right.
really young age, we ask, people who are, male bodied, to cut off, right? Like, in order, like, how do
Yes.
you control, how do you ask a young person, and then God forbid you have an erection in the, in the locker room or in your
Hmm.
classroom, or then later, at work, right? So, I see this a lot, that a lot of the men that I work with, I call it cock confusion, that they're just not sure, like, am I allowed to respond? Am I allowed to be
Yeah.
present? And so then when sex happens and there's so much pressure on,
Hmm.
now this is where you are supposed to show up.
Hmm.
It's like the neurology is just like, but I'm really habituated to not. And
Yeah.
it is this, like, teaching relaxation, teaching ways to down regulate. Often I've had people who thought, I've gone to all the doctors, I've done these things, nothing works. That being inviting to the
Hmm.
penis,
Hmm.
you're welcome here, however
Yeah.
you show up,
Yeah.
and then going into this more relaxed state. And you can have hot sex and be relaxed. It doesn't mean you're
Hmm.
all just, but that,
Exactly.
I'm just sharing with you. That's my theory, is that why we need these tools is because, the pills, pumps, injections way of thinking about how
Hmm.
to fix an
Yeah.
erection, that, there's a lot more that we're expanding on, and having ways to help shift, because it's not just a shifting of the mind, it is a shifting of the body. And that's
Yeah.
really my understanding, is what hypnosis is able to do in ways that are really, really effective and faster than a lot of
Uh,
conventional therapies.
mhm. And that's really true. And also hypnosis meshes well with different kinds of techniques like cognitive behavior theory and other things. And what you've just put forth is a really compassionate ages and stages developmental look at things. And there is you've a cruelty in the culture that demands that kind of uh, rejection of, as you say, a sensory organ, right? I also want to just toss in masturbation for a second, which
Oh,
you
good. Yeah.
mentioned, because we know that masturbation patterns, oh my God, I've got to do it quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't get caught, it can also have a lot to do with it. And that's a whole other topic, but just throwing in, this, if you have access to it, it's got to be fast.
Right.
And so,
And silent.
and silent. Oh, yeah.
Right.
You cannot make a noise.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, moving into hypnosis, kind of being a potential fast track tool for people, it's more than just positive suggestions and affirmations. So those are really core. There's also ways to explore the shame and guilt and body image
Mm.
issues in so many different hypnotic ways. You can do regression, you can do progression, you can do parts therapy. I mean, you can pull in all kinds of things. You can do forgiveness rituals within hypnosis of people who shamed or embarrassed you, for example, or forgiveness of parts of self, or your gratitude uh, practice can also be included into hypnosis. It's really, I always have this image of the 1950s housewife with a box saying, just add hypnosis. It's like, it's so interesting and so versatile as a tool. It's there's so much I can't even talk about it all, but I know the good of it, and people who experience it and are willing to do sort of the work and the repetition to form those new neural pathways, they know the good of it too. And it may not be the only thing they need, but it can be very helpful in that respect.
So we're giving people your presentation. In your
Hmm.
presentation is a hypnosis script, which we're also giving. You've been very generous, and we have that script, so that's something that people can read and access and
Yes.
practice.
Hmm.
Just we're going to shift gears in a moment, but I want to ask you, okay, so let's say people are listening. Well, they are. You're
Hmm.
listen People are listening or watching us, and now they're maybe a little bit curious, right? Okay, these ladies, they're talking about hypnosis. They're pretty, they're definitely like, this is something to try.
Hmm.
We have more for them to work with, but I think it's important to say, like, can you just lay out the you can work with somebody, right? Like
Hmm. Hmm.
you can find a professional, and then, there's the world of, audio, or like, just how are the different, I guess my question is, how are the different ways that someone can begin to access this? Because, if they don't have the monetary resources to hire somebody, to come to see, is that, does that mean that that there's nothing out there for them? Or like, what are the different entry points that work for people?
That's a really good question. I think one point I want to make before I start to answer it is that there are lots and lots of different hypnosis recordings that can be had, that are hypnosis for ED
Mhm.
labels. You have to be a little careful because, not to diss my fellow hypnotists, but most of them have no training in human sexual behavior. So you may be encountering a recording made by somebody who has very limited understanding, and their understanding of human sexuality is a fairly narrow focus. So cisgender, heteronormative, focus on monogamy kind of thing, which is not bad for those people who fall into those categories. But you're not necessarily going to find anything that speaks to this whole thing in a more nuanced way. But it is a starting point. So I would be careful looking at labels, either YouTube videos, which I don't necessarily recommend, and I'll say why in a minute. But if you're looking for purchasing a hypnosis CD from somebody, check their background, see what they have, if anything, in human sexuality. And there's some sexologists and sex therapists who do hypnosis and who do put out CDs or recordings of, I mean, CDs, that's old hat,
Yeah.
MP3s, whatever, right? God, I mean, we were still burning CDs when I first studied
I'm
it.
still
Now it's
burning
like,
CDs.
yeah, right. It's useful. So check the background of the person who's made the recording if you can. If you don't see it on the recording, see if you can, do a search engine and find out a little bit more who they are. There's books on self-hypnosis, good ones, and if you want to get your information from a book, I think a lot of times it's more likely that you will get a good self-hypnosis book by somebody who will just give you self-hypnosis methods, but without necessarily references to sexuality. However, a really old book, 1982, by Daniel Araoz, Araoz, called Hypnosex, Sexual Joy Through Self-Hypnosis. The reason I love this guy, even though it does have more of that conventional focus, he acknowledges that there are other people who can use him too. He deals directly with sexual topics, and he's
Nice.
good. He's good. There's a reason I love him. What else could people do? We've got our internet. We've got to use it to our advantage.
But it is overall, it's something that if you want to explore it on your own, there are some ways that you can do it. And if you do want to do it, or if you were partnered and you wanted to explore together, there are ways to, there's different levels of access.
Since you said explore it together with a partner, I do have to give a pitch for my
good
entrancing book, which is erotic hypnosis. So hypnosis that partners can do with each other or a person can do with themselves. And this is a way to support affectionate, romantic, and erotic situations. So
say the name of the book again, please.
Entrancing, hypnotizing your way to more, I always forget hypnotizing your way to more pleasure, romance, and sex, or something like that. But it's on Amazon.
Okay, great. I'll make sure that we
Paperback
give
or
people
Kindle.
The link. Perfect.
Right.
I'll
And
make
I
sure
do mention it in my slideshow.
Okay, good.
But I put everything into that, almost everything that I know that could help people that are looking for some ways to creatively work with hypnosis for fantasy play, for sensation play, for creating more of a bonding or relaxing bonding situation in their relationships.
Wonderful.
So,
and that actually brings me to the question that I was going to ask you as you were talking, which is, the hypnosis works both for, there's a question. Does hypnosis work both for situations where we're needing to accept that our body has changed and is different? And do you find it also has helped people where they have been able to regain some function that they lost?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Because if they learn how to, gosh, there's so much. There's desensitization, things you can do through hypnosis to have somebody rehearse the different gradients of how stressful situations are that cause them to have worry, that may eventually lead them to feeling embarrassed because they don't have the erect penis that they wish they had and that they think the other person expects. Yeah, it's that that relaxing the nervous system, which you've brought up and we've talked about. If you can get there,
Yeah.
and kind of rehearse these situations that bring on the worry, and then overcome that, there's you really can regain a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hate to put it as regain, because we do also want people to understand the value and the wonder and the joy of a soft penis.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm
Exactly.
channeling Annie Sprinkle
Yeah.
here, but she's got a great
Right.
5-minute video of
Mm-hmm.
the Sofcock
Right.
manifesto, and I just enjoy her delivery of
Mm-hmm.
that. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but that's the thing is it's a not a one or the other, it's the both.
mhm,
But, from a
yes.
health point of view, there are people where if it's the stress, if it's the not ability to relax, you know, if we can get blood flow into the penis, then we also
Hmm.
are helping heart health, we're helping brain health, we're helping prostate health. So, some of this is just being able to not get into the place of, I need to be hard because I want to penetrate, but can I help myself downregulate, de-stress, relax into the wholeness, when we invite our penis to be
Hmm.
part of the party, whether it's with ourselves or with somebody else, that's our opportunity to actually be fully embodied from, toe to head, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of times men are, the majority of time men are walking around soft,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You know?
And let's keep the idea that fluctuation is natural.
Mhm.
So, yeah, soft, hard, to back to soft again, to back to hard again. Have enough, sort of enough in your sexual repertoire that you can go, oh, well, so that's temporarily not happening, but this other stuff is. And so
Mhm.
let's go with the other stuff. And then make it be easy, like an easy
Yeah,
flow of fluctuation and acceptance of that,
absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. I mean, that makes me think too of how, um, when I work with people who have more rapid ejaculation and they
Hmm.
have so
Hmm.
much, they feel, really disheartened. And my question
Yeah.
always is, what are you doing in the refractory period? And for so
Hmm.
many people, they associate sex coming to an end with the ejaculation, if they have an ejaculation, the orgasm, if they have it, at the change of the hardness, and they
Yeah.
just stop rather. And I'm really and I'm bringing this up because as you were talking, I was imagining how how using the refractory period as that delicious time to explore
Hmm.
deeper relaxation, and not necessarily like, oh, I came and now we're going to sleep,
Hmm.
right? But
Cultivating some sensuality throughout, you know,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely an opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay. Well, I'm really hopeful that people will watch the slide presentation, listen to your demo, get your book, learn more, try these things out because they really, this is a special little key to unlock another layer of the
Yeah.
why that a lot of people just aren't familiar with. That
Hmm.
element of there is a way to help yourself, help your partner, help if you're a provider, just go to a different place of downregulation, relaxation that is neurologic, scientific,
Hmm.
and under this banner that, is hypnosis.
And I'll say one last thing before
Yeah.
we start to move into,
Mm-hmm.
our goodbyes, but
Yes.
it's also a how. Because one of
Mm-hmm.
the brilliant things about hypnosis is you don't have to do deep psychological work for a lot of things to be helped. And so, if for some reason a why question might be scary, you can still deal with a how in a very practical way. Here's how we can go ahead and bring about some change and a shift for you,
Yeah.
as if you're a client.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm. Wonderful.
Well, this has been lovely. I could do
Mm.
this with you for
I know.
hours.
could do this with you forever. I have so many other, I know. I'm like, oh, there's so many things we could talk
Yeah.
about, but I want to be mindful of your time and your energy. I want to congratulate you, on your remission status
Thank
and
you.
how
Yeah.
generous you have been with Sofcock Week to, create things and be with us while you are in your own, cancer journey. And I really hold you as this model for me.
Oh dear.
Well, no, because when we spoke,
Mhm.
whenever that was a few months ago, I just really appreciated how even though you were going through your chemo, when you were talking about your love, when you were talking
Mhm.
about, you know, having, your love come to visit or be with you, that it was so clear that that you use the tools that you have,
Mhm.
and a lot of people, you know, don't allow themselves in the worst of their feelings about their body when everything is just breaking down,
Right.
and like I said, I mean, I came into hypnosis, through PTSD, where,
Mhm.
really, like, it was my grief ritual. Masturbation became my grief ritual,
Yeah.
when I did the sexological bodywork training, and it really, knowing that pleasure is a stimulant for the immune system, that
Mhm.
there's so
Mhm.
much that pleasure can be. And you really, like, I saw it in you. Like, you were like, oh my gosh, I'm really going through all of it. And yet, you know,
Masturbation has been very important for me too in this journey. It's like, how do I bring joy to my body
yeah,
that's suffering in so many other ways? And there we go.
yeah. So did you use some form of self-hypnosis to get you, because I think so many people, even when we know that masturbation is good for
Mhm.
us in so many ways, when we're tired, when we're fatigued, when there's so much other stuff going on, the
Mhm.
mind is so quick to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, even though, so, like, did you have to use some kind of self-hypnosis for yourself to help override all of the, no, you're just like,
No,
no,
I
I just do.
didn't. I didn't. But what I did do, which was valuable, is I
uh-huh.
wrote a script when prior to going into surgery
mm,
and had my sweetheart read it to me about how well I was going to do.
mm,
And I swear the recovery from the surgery was amazingly quick. And so there's something about the words of a loved one
mm. Yeah.
delivering a hypnosis recording or delivering those words in real time that are super, super powerful.
Mm.
And so while that wasn't directly related to sex, it had it, I think, everything to do with
Yeah.
how quickly I was able to recover.
Mm.
So,
That's
but
beautiful.
we use what we can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and sometimes, we have to be the voice of our loved one too, right? That,
true,
that goes back
there's
to
that.
everything we were saying, right? That, what is the term you used? Compassionate care.
Unconditional positive regard.
Yes, unconditional
Yeah,
positive regard, right? That,
we
if
should have that for
we
us.
should have that for us, and, we can read our own script to our most beloved
Hmm.
self. Sometimes that takes some work, but good to
Oh, yeah.
practice. Good,
Thank
good,
you.
good.
Yeah, I need that reminder actually.
Yeah.
So cool.
Good. Good. So, Dr. Amy, if people want more of you,
Hmm.
how do they connect with you?
The best thing is email, uh, Dr. So Dr.
Mhm.
period, Amy Marsh, sexologist, it's long, at gmail.com, or they can go to my website, which is amymarshsexologist.com.
Thank you so much for being with us. And again, just truly a pleasure. I'm so grateful for all you're bringing into the world and have brought into the world. And I hope that, people read the book, connect with you, listen to the recordings, watch the recordings that you have so generously gifted us. And that brings us to a close of today's episode of Softcock Appreciation Week 2024. And I am your hostess, Erica Leroy. I'm so grateful that you've been with us, and many blessings to you.
Many blessings to you, and thank you so much. I can't wait for Sofcock Week, and I can't wait to listen to the other people. So
Yeah.
it'll be good. Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome.
Take care. Welcome to Relax and Enjoy. Use hypnosis to love your soft cock. This is a presentation about the sexological hypnosis approach, and I'm Dr. Amy Marsh. This is a presentation for Softcock Week 2024. A little bit about me before we get started. I'm a certified sexologist trained at the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality. That was in San Francisco, sadly no longer in existence. I am an ASECT certified sexuality counselor, a certified hypnotist, and hypnosis instructor via the National Guild of Hypnotists. I'm the founder of the Intimate Hypnosis Training Center, where I teach a 15-week course for professionals on using hypnosis for sexual problems. I've been in private practice since 2009, and I'm the author of 2 books on sexology and hypnosis. I'm going to use a number of quotes in this presentation because I want to show you how people have been giving a lot of thought to the potential of a soft penis for sexual enjoyment and pleasure. The soft penis can provide a different mode of sexual enjoyment, often ignored by the insistence on erection. And that's all the way back from 1982. And the whole point of this particular presentation is embodied pleasure. And you get there through self-love. I found this quote just a few days ago, and this is from a podcast and from somebody who does a lot of work with personal training. And the question for her was, how do I embody my life? In other words, how do I get comfortable with my body? And her answer was the foundation for that has to be self-love and self-acceptance. Talk to yourself in a loving way. You touch yourself in any regard in a loving way. You start to undo the mechanisms of self-judgment that are standing in the way of you being able to touch and talk to yourself as if you are your number one fan, lover, and best friend. And there is no wiggle room around this. And this is something that we're going to find when we bring hypnosis into the discussion, that self-talk is a huge part of this. So if we're talking about becoming sex and pleasure positive for every part of your body, no matter what it happens to be doing in the moment, we've got some questions. How do we do that? Sounds good. Well, we have to start by recognizing the assumptions and programming that adversely affect you and or your intimate partners during sex. Recognize and reverse negative self-talk about your body and your right to pleasure. Stop feeling broken. Understand that the fluctuations you may experience or that your partner with a penis may experience are absolutely normal. And consider and experience many forms of touch. What feels good when your penis is flaccid or your partner's penis is flaccid and or erect? And consider emphasizing other forms of sexual pleasure besides penetration and orgasm during penetration. Here's another quote from long ago, very pertinent still today. And Bernie Zilbergeld was another person who was quite brilliant, like Daniel Ross, and used hypnosis in sex therapy. So Zilbergeld says, when I started working with men with sex problems over 20 years ago, I was immediately struck by the absolutely fantastic beliefs they held. They seemed to believe, for example, that they needed a penis as big and hard as a telephone pole to satisfy a woman, that male and female orgasm were absolutely necessary, that intercourse was the only sexual act, that good sex had to be spontaneous without planning or talking, and that it was a crime against humanity if a man had any questions, doubts, or problems in sex. As I reflected on these beliefs, I was shocked to realize that my clients weren't the only ones who held them. I shared many of them myself, and so did most men who weren't clients, and many women as well. Now, of course, Zilbergeld is exaggerating just a bit with his language here. Here's another quote. Our society teaches us that sexual pleasure between a man and a woman depends on the man's ability to get hard and stay hard. And what a demented view of sex. This puts a lot of pressure on guys to be consummate cocksmen. It makes us more dick-centered than necessary, at the expense of everyone. And by the way, guide to getting it on, whatever edition you get, excellent. But do get the latest one. How do we do that? Well, you don't tune out your body, tune into it. And this is a very recent book by Michael Castleman, Sizzling Sex for Life, Everything You Need to Know to Maximize Pleasure at Any Age. So I want to bring a little bit of sexology and sex therapy background into this discussion, into this presentation. Now, over the years, sex therapy has created many strategies to remove mental, emotional, and physical pressure. So on-demand touching was invented. It's a classic of sex therapy, these sensate focus exercises since the 1960s. It was a way of creating experiences of touch without expectations, without sexual expectations or destinations like orgasm. So you use touch to learn about your own body and your partner's. Softcock erotic massage, especially as explored and promoted by Joseph Kramer and the New School of Erotic Touch streaming videos. Now, I studied with Joseph Kramer at the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality and actually earned a sexological bodywork certificate through that course. So I never worked as a body worker. I actually went into hypnosis instead. But I know I'm very familiar with his work and really think it's brilliant. There's a lot of great education on the New School of Erotic Touch website, which you'll get a link for later. You can also shift to other forms of sexual pleasure besides penis-vagina or penis-anus penetration and expectations of orgasm during those activities. Partner orgasms first, and usually the context for that is the female partner first and the male partner second. Or the idea that people take responsibility for their own orgasms. And you can incorporate and enjoy sex toys, whether solo or partnered, and start to explore some embodiment techniques and breath work. So those are some ideas of things that you can do to bring yourself into a fuller enjoyment and appreciation of your body. You know, if you feel like you're kind of an alive from the neck up person, or if your sexuality is super genital focused, you might want to explore these other ways of being and feeling how you can have pleasure throughout your body and also pleasure in your genitals, whether you're hard and soft or whether your partner is hard and soft. It's really a mental and emotional and imaginative shift as well as a physical one. Now, where does hypnosis and self-hypnosis come into this picture, and why is it helpful? Well, hypnosis can help a person develop or regain joyous, playful, fun sexuality and sensuality. Hypnosis can bypass the negative self-talk and critical, self-editing, spectatoring functions of the mind. And by the way, when you bypass that negative self-talk, you become less worried and you become more joyous and playful and things become more fun. Hypnosis aids in mental rehearsal of pleasurable scenarios as a form of positive suggestion. Hypnosis can help release inhibitions, shame, guilt, poor self-esteem, and self-image. Hypnosis can help increase sexual self-confidence. Hypnosis can aid relaxation, helping a person into the parasympathetic nervous system state, which allows for sexual arousal. And hypnosis can help relieve worry about your body and sexual situations. Now let's look a minute at the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And this is an oversimplification, as most of these kinds of drawings are, but you'll see in the bottom portion of the drawings that the sacral nerves and the lumbar nerves go to the genitals. And if you're in your parasympathetic, comfortable, rest and digest, feeling relaxed situation, this allows for erections and erect vaginal tissue as well. We're not emphasizing erections, obviously, in this presentation, but I think it helps to know that arousal begins to happen when you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, whether your penis is erect or not, or your partner's penis is erect or not. So just something to know. You want to, as much as possible, stay in the parasympathetic nervous system mode. Now, one of the definitions of hypnosis is that you're in an alternate state of awareness, which is called hypnosis. When you let yourself go into a goal-directed daydream to the extent that you dissociate yourself from your surrounding outer reality and become engrossed in your inner reality. And this is a quote again from Dr. Daniel Leroye and Robert Bleck, who wrote one of the first books on hypnosex, and it was called Hypnosex, Sexual Joy Through Self-Hypnosis. 1982. It's an oldie but a goodie. And here's another quote from a book that Daniel Leroye wrote. It's still a brilliant book today, Hypnosis and Sex Therapy. And he wrote, "The sex therapist using hypnosis will start the mental sensate focus right at the office, encouraging clients to visualize sensual situations and experience mentally the comfort and joy they produce." Now think about that. Imagine what would happen if you began to visualize and imagine, say daydream, sensual situations and allow that sensuality to include having a soft penis as part of the sensual, enjoyable part of that fantasy. It's a different kind of approach, right? And we're going to get into it when we do the hypnosis demonstration a bit later in this presentation. So how you can use hypnosis to support, let's say, your self-loved Sofcock. Well, self-hypnosis is easy to learn, and you use simple affirmations and positive suggestions after you get into a relaxed state, and it's quite helpful to do this on a regular basis. Relaxation hypnosis. So this is a way to help yourself or help a partner into the parasympathetic nervous system state. And it's great to use a script read by a partner, if possible, or have a partner record the script for you so you can listen to it when you need to. Or if nothing else, you record the script and listen to it when you need it. That's another way to do it. Affectionate hypnosis to strengthen emotional bonds. Again, you can use a script read by a partner in all the different ways I suggested above. And strengthening the emotional bonds is another way to create a state of comfort and relaxation. Erotic hypnosis. So this is recreational solo or partnered hypnosis to visualize or conceptualize pleasure and fantasies of all kinds. And sexological hypnosis, that's what I do, is delivered by a trained hypnotist, sexologist, counselor, or therapist to address specific concerns and problems. But the emphasis in this presentation is to introduce you to the idea that you yourself and you and a partner can make use of simple forms of hypnosis to really come to a different relationship with your own body and your expectations of how you can enjoy yourself with your body, no matter what kind of state your penis is in. So positive suggestions, what are these? These are suggestions, phrases delivered to your subconscious mind as well as your conscious mind. But when you're in hypnosis, your conscious mind takes kind of a back seat and your subconscious kind of gets up front and starts to drive. That's one way to think about it. And we want these present tense, these suggestions to be present tense, simple, plausible, and sometimes it's better to use a third person voice. And I'll explain why that is in a moment. So let's say you're wanting to use a third person. Let's use the name Bob Smith. So Bob Smith relaxes easily before, during, and after pleasure. Now you're Bob Smith, and in your conscious everyday self, you might be very aware that you don't find it easy to relax. But if you just use the first and last name, maybe that's another Bob Smith that does find it easy to relax before, during, and after pleasure. And so your subconscious hears the name and accepts it and takes it in and owns it. And your conscious mind is less likely to argue with that. And there are studies that prove that this is actually a very effective way to do self-talk. And, it's just super interesting. So again, first name, last name, enjoys the feeling of a soft penis or touching a soft penis. So maybe you're a person with a penis and your partner has tended to use whether or not you have an erection as a gauge of whether or not you're turned on and interested, or how much you're sexually interested in them. You're trying to move away from that. So bringing this idea of a soft penis as an enjoyable, sensual, sexy part of what you do. So getting used to touching and appreciating a soft penis is important for a partner of somebody with a penis. And it's important for you too, if you've got a penis. So first name, last name feels great, sexual pleasure with or without an erection. Here's one, partner name, loves to touch, first name, last name, with or without an erection. So that's something that can both reassure you, but also be used as a suggestion delivered to a partner. Another more straightforward, but without a name, it is natural for erections to fluctuate. Or better yet, it is natural for penises to fluctuate. Or simply, soft penises are sexy. There's so many different things you can do. Now, erotic hypnosis is something that you could experience and have a completely enjoyable time. And once you've got a little practice on this, even up to feeling orgasmic feelings without touch. So it's a really intriguing way to bring a different kind of sexuality and sensuality into your range of skills and interests, if this is something that appeals to you. So here's some ideas of how you could use erotic hypnosis. Now, this is a recreational thing that you would do with yourself as self-hypnosis or with a partner. So you could create a hypnotic fantasy where erections have nothing or very little to do with the sexiness of the scene or the amount of pleasure to be experienced. You could do a hypnotic sensation play to develop heightened sensation on a soft cock without needing to become erect, even to the point of orgasm. Now, this is something that would take practice to establish. You would have to practice this over time. There's techniques about this in my book to get to the point where this would be possible. Because you have to become confident, you have to have trust in yourself and in your partner, understand that learning and experiencing hypnosis is something, a skill that you develop over time. It is a learned skill. A hypnotic suggestion could be that partner arousal is signaled in some other way than an erection or wetness, because there's also an expectation that for people with vaginas, that wetness is what tells the other person that that person's turned on. But that may not necessarily be the case. So it's a little similar to the expectation that only an erection signals arousal. Hypnotic suggestion could be, again, fluctuations in erections are natural, or fluctuations in penises are natural. Or there could be a post-hypnotic suggestion once you practice a lot and get good at this. And you could say, from now on, whenever I touch your designated body part, could be a little finger or the back of your hand, and say an agreed upon word, you will feel an agreed upon sensation. So let's say back of the hand, tingly. And as I count to 10, the sensation will be even more intensely pleasurable with every number. This will only happen in situations and places which are comfortable, private, and consensual for you. And what this does is it makes touching a designated body part, which could be an elbow or behind the ear, a place that normally wouldn't have contact with anyone, with a specific word and the specific agreed upon sensation. So this isn't something that you would just spring on somebody in a grocery store, for example. Or this is not something that somebody would have to worry about, that they would just experience the intensely pleasurable. sensation without wanting to or agreeing to it. So we talked about hand and tingling, but it could be any body part. So you get the idea, right? And we're going to do a demo in a couple of minutes, and this script will be available as a PDF from the Sofcock website or upon request from me via email, which you'll see at the end of the slideshow. And please put SCW hypnosis script in the subject line to request a copy. And it could be adapted as a self-hypnosis script as well as used with a partner. But I have written it mostly as something to be used with a partner. And the script consists of several parts: an induction, a deepening, the main part of the session with positive suggestions, and emergence coming out of hypnosis. Now, there's a few resources that I want to mention. Of course, you're here. So Sofcock Appreciation Week with its blogs and its other videos and messaging, such a great resource for everybody, and a great place to direct your partners. For example, if you feel that they might benefit from some of the information and concepts. So just giving them a shout out here in this presentation. And you can learn Softcock erotic massage from the New School of Erotic Touch. I mentioned that was Joseph Kramer. There's a membership monthly with streaming video classes of all kinds that you can take at www.eroticmassage.com. And a quote from Joseph Kramer in one of the Softcock erotic massage videos is, "Softcock erotic massage depends on your body being awake." So again, there's this idea of being present and accepting of the state that your body is in at any moment. And personally, I just love this message from Annie Sprinkle, who's also a graduate of the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality and is a PhD sexologist. And this call for a softcock revolution is quite encouraging and a lot of fun. And you find this also at the New School of Erotic Touch. And I'm going to show you a couple examples here of the classes that they have streaming. So they actually give you 3 different videos that really support the idea of sexual and sensual pleasure and bonding and staying present for a person with a penis and without having to have or cause or expect an erection. So there's things to remember. Begin a practice of loving your body through touch and words, not just sexually. Do this even if it feels odd or corny at first. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Maybe you want to do this when nobody else is around, if you feel embarrassed or something, but actually really, if you can begin to start loving yourself and voicing that love and acceptance, that's going to help you a lot. And it's one way to overcome the negative self-talk. And if you catch yourself thinking something negative about yourself, like I'm broken, or I can't do it, or I'm less of a lover, just stop that right now and try to flip that into something that affirms that you are worthy, valuable, desirable, no matter what state your penis is in. And it's great to have other ways to be sexually intimate with yourself and your partners. And there's a lot of things out there that you can explore if you haven't done so already. And use your mind and imagination to advantage by substituting affirmations for negative self-talk and exploring hypnosis and so on. And learn and explore techniques like softcock massage. So you can get a hold of me at Dr.Amy Marsh, sexologist at gmail.com. And now we're going to begin the hypnosis. Now we're going to show the hypnosis script on the screen, and I'm going to read it to you as if I am giving you a chance to become hypnotized, or at least close your eyes and become comfortable with this. And this is the script that will be available to you as a PDF. Now, you want to make sure before you start something like this, you wear comfortable clothing, make sure the room you're in is a comfortable temperature, and ensure privacy, and that you won't be disturbed. So put your cell phones away or turn them off. And if you're the person reading the script, read slowly enough to create a feeling of restfulness, but you don't have to put on a fake hypnosis voice. Don't read the words in brackets. And if you're the person hearing the script, just breathe and allow yourself to relax. Close your eyes and just follow the voice. So I'm going to begin. When you're ready, close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in. Hold for a moment, and as you exhale, allow your body to loosen up and just relax. Take a few more breaths, counting to 4 on the intake. 4 counts as you hold your breath, 4 counts to exhale, 4 counts to wait before your next inhale. Now, as you continue to breathe slowly and deeply, bring your awareness to the space, the distance between your eyes. Just imagine from the inside the space, the distance between the eyes, the inner corners of your eyes, and allow your body to hold that awareness while you can forget about it, just as you can allow your body to breathe while you simply listen to the sound of my voice. Know that it's okay to adjust yourself for comfort, swallow, cough, and even talk if you need to. Knowing this will allow you to be as comfortable as possible and relax even further. All you really need to do is just listen to my voice and breathe, and be aware of your breath and the space, the distance between your eyes. Just rest in that thought. Just rest in your breath. And if thoughts come, just come and let them go. Like clouds in the sky, just let them pass. And all you need to do is relax. So again, bring your attention to your breath. Take a long, deep breath at your own pace. Hold it at the top. And as you exhale, again, let all the tension leave your body. Once more, when you are ready, taking that nice deep breath in, hold a little, then exhale. And as you breathe in and out, notice your breathing becoming more rhythmic. Hearing the gentle sound of it, notice what it feels like to relax. And if you feel tension anywhere in your body, just let those muscles relax. Imagine a warm wave of relaxation flowing throughout your body with every breath. You might even imagine it as a soft, golden flow of warmth flowing over and through you. And pay attention to those muscles in your face and relax. Your eyes, your forehead, your jaw. Letting your jaw loosen and really relax. Let your chin fall towards your chest, bringing a sense of relaxation to your shoulders, neck, and back. Let that warm wave of relaxation flow through your entire body, relaxing every muscle, every nerve, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. A warm wave of relaxation flows through your entire body, relaxing every muscle, every nerve. And let's go deeper now. I'm going to count down from 10 all the way down to 1. And let yourself double or even triple your relaxation with every number. So 10, going deeper. 9, letting go. That's right. 8, feeling so good. 7, doubling or even tripling your relaxation. 6, just letting yourself drift down and down. 5, more and more relaxed. 4, so comfortable. 3, deeper and deeper still. 2, just letting go. And 1, there. And now take a moment to feel how great it is to be so deeply relaxed. And now I'm going to help you make a wonderful, safe, and supportive space to rest in whenever you are experiencing hypnosis. And your subconscious will enjoy helping with this, giving you images, words, and ideas. So what would be the most beautiful, wonderful, safe space you could be right now? Imagine it as fully as possible. It could be a favorite place you already know, or a place you'd like to visit. or just simply a place you imagine, indoors or out. Imagine sights, sounds, smells, colors, even taste. Imagine yourself in this place, fully relaxed as you are now. Let yourself just soak up how it feels to be in this wonderful, safe, relaxing place. This is a place where you can experience total self-acceptance and total support from the universe at large. It is all yours to be had. Imagine yourself in this place, lying down or sitting comfortably, feeling a sense of complete contentment with your own body. Yes, every bit of your own body, even the parts that you sometimes wish were different. Let this contentment, this acceptance, wash over and through you, taking away every bit of discomfort around your body and how it looks and feels. Today, you're going to experience many thoughts and suggestions that will boost your acceptance of your own body, especially when it comes to your own body when you're being intimate with another person. What would it be like if you could really enjoy what is happening and how good it feels without worrying about how your body, especially your penis, might look and respond? Right now, breathe in and let yourself feel a sense of total self-acceptance washing through you. Now breathe out any feelings of worry or other uncomfortable feelings. Let all your tension go when you breathe out. Breathe in self-love and breathe out worry, in and out, releasing all tension. Imagine what it would be like if your partner also had total acceptance of their own body, as well as yours. Nobody's worried about how they look or how their body responds. Imagine it now, a scene of total enjoyment. It is both playful and hot, and where you are totally in the moment. Nobody is worried about when or how any kind of penetration will happen, or when or how they will orgasm. You stay present with each other. Everything just happens naturally, and it all feels so good. Now, as you imagine this really enjoyable sexual encounter, I want you to imagine times when your penis is erect and times when it is not. Imagine the fluctuation without worrying about it. Sometimes you're soft, sometimes you're hard, and it's all okay. Imagine your partner enjoying touching your penis and pleasuring you no matter whether you're erect or not. You feel happy to have all that attention and acceptance, and it makes you feel hot and sexy. And you also enjoy touching your partner in the ways that they like. You breathe in and feel a sense of total acceptance wash through you. You breathe out any feelings of worry or other uncomfortable feelings. Let all the tension go when you breathe out. Now, spending a few more minutes, bring this wonderful scene to a close in any way that feels right for you. And let the feelings of pleasure and comfort wash through you from the top of your head to the tips of your toes and anywhere in between. Ask your subconscious mind to remember this wonderful hypnotic daydream and make self-love and self-acceptance your default setting from now on, especially when it comes to how your penis looks and feels in any given moment. Great. Now, using your own first and last name, silently repeat the following words in your mind. First name, last name is safe and happy, and feel how it feels to be safe and happy. First name, last name is fully supported by everyone and everything. Feel how it feels to be so safe and supported. First name, last name is, and think of a desired quality. Let yourself feel this and notice how good it feels. First name, last name, and your pronoun. Penis deserves love and acceptance. Let yourself experience this. Notice how good it feels. Ask your subconscious to bring these words deeply inside your mind and body. Let them be seeds. Let them grow. Let them bear flowers and fruit. Let them be alive in you. Now imagine that something in this wonderful place, your hypnotic sanctuary, is also repeating these words to you. And I'll say them too. And you repeat them in your mind. Let yourself notice all the feelings. First name, last name is safe and happy. First name, last name is fully supported by everyone and everything. First name, last name is your desired quality. First name, last name, and pronouns. Penis deserves love and acceptance. Good. And again, ask your subconscious to integrate these words, these seeds, so that you are allowed to fully experience their benefits in the coming days and weeks in ways that are just right for you. And now we're going to come up from this wonderful hypnosis. First, let me tell you how much I appreciate you. I especially notice the fact that you're here. I also notice that you're paying attention and you're listening. And that made me feel so good and helpful. And so thank you so much for all you do. Now we're going to come up now out of hypnosis, emerging. 1, feeling good. 2, alert and refreshed. 3, ready to bring your awareness back more fully into the room. 4, maybe stretching, wiggling fingers and toes. And 5, open your eyes, feeling good. And then you pause and you let the hypnotized person rest and take a few minutes before you begin talking about the experience. Later, you can share what worked and what did not. So build trust by taking and giving critiques kindly and moderately. And again, thank you so much for attending this presentation. And you can get a hold of me at Amy Marsh, sexologist @gmail.com.